Hey everybody, this is Puya. Welcome to this video interview. Today I'm very grateful to have invited my new friend Kim, who is part of my mastermind with Alex J. Moscow at Congruent Coaches. And the reason I reached out to Kim is because I've been observing how she is growing her business and how she's showing up. And we were at a party at Alex's house, and she just brought up some of the stories of how she rised above her family circumstances of finances. And I related to her story a lot because of what she was sharing about her family. From my understanding, she's coming from a family of working family, not an entrepreneurial family. And I'm coming from that. So when she shared about the challenges that she went through and I'm seeing the results that she's created, I was like, wow, like I really want more people to hear about her, hear about what she went through, hear about her inner game, her belief systems. So I'm really grateful to have her. And my intention with this is to really serve you so that you can actually know that you can reach your goals, overcome limiting beliefs around money, around yourself, etc. But having said that, let's go to Kim. Kim, I would love for you to take a minute to introduce yourself. How would you like to other people to know, people who just find you on YouTube or my Facebook group, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Kim. I came to America when I was 4, and my parents wanted me to go the pathway of the traditional, like, be a doctor, be an engineer. And instead of doing that, I moved to the desert by myself with a U-Haul, and I started a kind of like a dismantling yard, like one of the, those companies that you see like pick apart. So I asked around, and I'm like, can I start a pick apart from scratch? And a lot of people were like, no, you can't. You need millions of dollars. You need you need all this money. And then I looked into it and I saw that, no, you really don't. You can start really small. So I started small with just a few cars. And my dad was like, what the hell are you doing? Because I was parting them in his backyard and the garage. And then after I saw that people still wanted car parts from like a random person on the internet, that's when I got the licensing. I saved up a whole year's worth of my income working at like a regular sales job, and saved up every penny, and then moved to the desert by myself. And then I hired people off of Craigslist to part out cars, and got all the paperwork for it, jumped through all the loopholes, and then have my own little company. So that was 5 years ago. And recently, the reason why I'm becoming more the face of things is because in the process of figuring out, of having my own business, what happened was 7 months ago, a lot of people around me started getting evicted out of their own businesses that they've created because of the legalization of marijuana. And people suddenly, these multi-million-dollar businesses were coming in and saying, we need space to grow our, plants. We need these things. So I saw a lot of mom and pop stores around me and companies that were small, because I consider my company small, started getting kicked out of their locations. And that's when I realized, wow, you can have a successful business, you can have employees, you can have all these things. And at the end of the day, you're very vulnerable if you don't have a business that's completely location independent. So that's when I tapped into these dreams that I had a while ago. And the dreams were, Kim, deep down software is where it's at. Deep down that having subscribers and having something completely location independent is where it's at. So this is the sign. People around you are getting evicted. This is the sign for you to act. And so I didn't take that lightly. I'm like, holy shit, how much time do I have left before they evict me? Who knows? And so I started talking to successful digital entrepreneurs who have their own software. And during that process, I started breaking down a lot of myths. The same way I broke down myths of, oh, you need to have all these millions of dollars to have your own pick apart. there is the myth of you need to have venture capitalist funding. You need to do all these things to have your own software company. When I realized that those were also myths, that got me really, really excited. I'm like, holy shit, I can have my own software company without all of these things, without all this funding. So I dived into it, and my first app, I remember back in like, I think it was December 2018 was when I was getting serious about it. And my app cost me $380, and it has since, now it has made me, it's August, it's made me around 10,000 a month on average since then. So now the last month has made me around 15,000. So this one little app that cost me $380 launched to a list of 25 people. At that time, I barely had anyone who would even like pay attention to me because I was this nobody. And it started growing and growing. And what I found out in that lesson is that the world is full of myths, and it takes courage for you to say, fuck everything else. Let's just, let's just do this anyways. If I'm gonna fail, who cares? I'll fail, but at least I tried. And because I grew my business and I got mentally free, like I feel like I wasn't a part of any kind of office space for years. I wasn't a part of any kind of small society, any kind of tiny group or anything. I was just isolated in my own world of possibilities. That's why I feel like for me, I'm less constrained in trying out new projects and new things, because I don't have as much the voices in your head that tells you not to do stuff, that tells you that it won't work out. I still have those voices, but those voices are so overshadowed by the other voices that's like, Kim, look at what you did for yourself. You broke down myths already a long time ago. All these myths around like, you can't do this, you can't do that. You already broke that down. So everything else you do in the future, whatever venture there is, if there is someone successful out there, they've broken down the myths. All you need to do is just step into it, because whatever project you step into, you're going to succeed, because all you need to do is break down myths. That's all. And when I look at it in terms of that way, then the things that I go into, the projects that I go into, it becomes way easier. So all of that to say, now with my software, I started duplicating the process, and in that method, I realized that what I have is too good of a secret to keep to myself. I need to share this. I need to share it, especially when I do go out and I go rock climbing with friends. I do all these things. They tell me about the ailment of their life. They tell me, oh gosh, I want to do that trip, but I have no vacation time left. Like, I want to do this with you, but I don't have this. And so when I started encountering that, I'm like, wait a minute, what I have could free people, because if you have a little simple software and you have subscribers, like even like if you were to think about it and do the math, which I've done, one subscriber paying you $29.99 a month, you only need 70 subscribers to make $2,000 a month. And you only need to have less than 200 subscribers to make $5,000 a month. So when you think of that, and you think about the millions that are online constantly, subscribing to things and buying things, what if instead of you being a subscriber and consumer of these things, you're now the producer, you're now on the other side, you're now collecting payments? So if that's possible, why am I keeping that a secret? So when I saw that that was possible, I started forming a very small group right away. And that group has since grown into a bigger group and a bigger organization, and now a full-on team that helps people make monthly recurring income with their own simple software that they fully own, and so that they can go and use the time with their life the way they want it to, instead of asking for permission for everything, sick leave, vacation.
Awesome.
They're able to free themselves.
Awesome. Thank you. I really love how enthusiastic you are, and like your story is just flows so beautifully. I just like to reflect back on what you just said, and that is like the key points that I really want people who are seeing this really understand, that I want to express is that what I heard you say is that you had a normal business, like a traditional business, local business, and you started to face some adversity where they were shutting other businesses down, right? And where most people would have said, hey, look, they're shutting it down, the world is coming to an end, this doesn't work, I should have known better, I'm now going to go bankrupt, like many people. You got resourceful, and you, instead of seeing it as a negative thing, you got it as a motivation to look within you, and you said, hey, Kim, look within, you know you love softwares, you know you can do this. So you went inside and you use an external seeming negative thing to motivate you to go to a higher level. So that's very beautiful. I just wanted to reflect back. And then you also started, the first thing you did when you got back in business, you started to talk to other successful people, and you started to break down those false beliefs. So my question to you is, how did you find those other successful digital entrepreneurs? Like, how did you know where to, how did you have the boldness to reach out to them? Like, how did you go about that? Because that takes a lot of courage.
It takes courage to say, hey, give me a piece of your time. But when you create some kind of audience, however small, like they don't even care about what your audience type is. But if you create something where eyes will be on them, like for example, this interview, I really didn't check up on your audience or who, you know, what your podcast is, whatever it is, but people will always have the time to spread a message. So if you can anchor yourself to that, I mean, think about it. These people have spent all this time creating programs, creating things, spreading their message all the time. If you come up to them and you're like, hey, how about you spread your message? They will say, yeah, of course, I will spend the time.
Wow, yeah.
So yeah, it makes it super, super easy to approach people when the question you're asking them is not, let me pick your brain, let me pull from you. Instead, let me help you do the thing that you already want to do.
Yeah, amazing. So how many people, I'm just curious, how many people did you speak with before you had the confidence to actually act on that and invest and make it happen?
I was already interviewing people just so that I could figure out what is on the internet world.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I don't know. So I was already, even with my audience of like 100 people in my Facebook group, I'm like, hey, let me interview you. And
wow,
surprisingly, like, oh yeah, sure, let's go, let's do it. Like all of them. And some of them have been around for 10 years, and they will still do like an interview with someone who has an audience of like 100 people.
Wow.
So I was doing that for, I would say, a month and a half before I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do. I want to do software.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so cool. Okay, so this is really awesome. And then just so we get a full picture, you currently have you have 8 softwares. You also do coaching with people where you take them through the process. That's also growing amazingly. And you also do rock climbing, you do all this amazing stuff. So I just want to kind of backtrack because a lot of people see you right now and they're kind of intimidated. They're like, wow, Kim is like this special kind that, you know, she's just like this alien. Like I want them to relate to you on a deeper level, because I know based on what you shared, like we have a lot of commonalities in our background with our family. I just want to like maybe go back to the time where you didn't know the things that you know now. Could you share with me like what kind of a family were you raised in? How did you even know about business? Like how did you even come up aware that you can actually start a business? Like when was the first time you had that awareness? What are some of the limiting beliefs you had to overcome? Maybe you can talk about that.
I think the most important thing, if I were to talk to my old self, is like, don't be afraid to model after someone successful. Don't think that you ever have to reinvent the wheel to become a success of your own, because every single person is their own journey. And back then, what I gave myself is the freedom to say, I don't need to be special. And when you allow yourself that, it will mentally free you on so many levels. I have friends who work a 9 to 5 and they're like, I gotta have this awesome idea. I gotta make it. I gotta do this. And they don't even think that all they need to do is just copy someone else. And when I say copy, I don't mean you rip off their information, but you model after what already works and you forgive yourself for being not a unicorn, right? So when I started, I knew that there were other dismantling companies out there. Like, I'm not reinventing any wheel. There were other ones out there, and others have started small too. I reached out to them and I'm like, hey, like, is this possible? And the consultants that were charging hundreds of dollars an hour told me no. But the smaller people were like, yes, it is possible, Kim, pursue it. And some of them have went bankrupt over the years because they didn't know how to run a business. But if I were to be like, oh shit, it's not possible, then I would have never ventured out and felt the way that I did. So back to adversity though, my parents wanted me to become a doctor so badly that they gave me a lot of stuff for not going that path. And so I want to say it's not, for me at least, it wasn't a smooth pathway to doing what I want. There was a period where 6 months I didn't talk to my parents at all because they kept on like telling me like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To an obsessive point. Like every time I visit them, every single conversation,
Wow.
obsessively like, why are you doing this? You're ruining your life, you know?
Wow.
So, and for me to save up like almost all my money to go and pursue going and drive, you know, moving to the desert by myself with a U-Haul truck and everything like that, that took no going out to friends. That took not even eating out. That took a lot and a lot of discipline. But I felt like if I wasn't free, then I couldn't breathe. I was working the sales job that required 12 hours of work for me every day. But after 12 hours, I would spend 4 to 5 hours researching, figuring things out before I would go to sleep, and I would rinse and repeat. And that led to moments of breakdown, absolutely, where I was at my job and like because of the office politics, it got to me. And I remember bursting and crying in my supervisor's office. And he looked at me, he's like, Kim, do you have friends? And when he said that, I realized, wow, I don't have friends. You know, I don't have any friends. I've isolated myself. I was just working to save up money. So it was a very unhealthy environment. But at that time, I knew that I had to do that to myself to get free, or else I couldn't even work. I was a very high performer. I made them lots and lots of money, and I negotiated for higher raises and everything and bigger bonuses so that I could bounce with like a bigger, you know, chunk of cash. but during the time, it led me to this unhealthy life. And then, but after I was able to free myself, I worked really, really hard to get a balanced life. That's why the way that I live now is the same as how I teach my clients. You can have the life that you want. It is hard work. Nothing is easy. It's hard work to get there. But once you're there, then you could go rock climbing in the middle of the week like I do. You know, I live the message that I want my people to have and to live themselves. I want them to go on adventures. I want them to take the extra trip, extra vacation. I want them to do all those things. And the people who are successful clients, they're on vacation. I ask them, hey, can you help coach my students? Like, I figured they might want to, but no, they're living the life that I taught them to live. They're like on vacation or they're doing something else. They don't want to be back in working for someone else. So, you know, kind of
okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. It's so awesome to hear. And I guess what I sense is you're very confident. I'm curious if you've always been confident, and where's that coming from? Have you always been confident?
No, when I was younger, I had all these insecurities about acne and, I went through the same, I think, pathway people get once they hit puberty and then when they're growing. Um, the thing that gave me confidence, I feel, was I started not giving a shit. I think that's what happened. After a while, I realized that everyone's journey is their own and they're most likely in their own head than they are judging others, right? They're
Yeah.
most likely like judging themselves and being hard on themselves. So as we're like traveling through life, no one's really looking at you. So why should you even give a shit about what other people think if like 99% of their thoughts are on themselves?
Mm,
So
I like
I'm
that.
like,
Yeah.
with that in mind, who cares what you do?
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I want to dive into your belief systems because Anthony Robbins says the same thing. Hey, if you want to achieve something, model someone who's doing it, and then model their physiology, model their belief system, model their inner paradigm. So I want to maybe understand your inner paradigm. Like, what are your key fundamental beliefs that you feel has really helped you become who you are around money, around business, around your ability to overcome adversities? What would you say are the key beliefs that you have formed that has made a big difference? And what are some of the biggest limiting beliefs that you had to let go of to be able to create the results that you created?
So I'll go backwards. The limiting belief
Yeah.
that I had to let go of is that things won't get done if I don't do it. So at the very beginning, I kind of trapped myself because I tried to do everything. And then even though I hired people, I was really micromanaging them. And I had to force myself really hard. One time I was like, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave and go. I left for 2 weeks without any reception. I told my team, I'm like, hey guys, I don't have any cell reception. I'm gonna go. I think I went to China. I'm like, I'm gonna go to China. I'm not gonna be around, and I'm gonna be across the world, so the time zone will be different even. And so, given that, I just left, and then when I came back, things didn't burn down. But it took it took everything in me to be like, okay, just forget about Kim. Because if I succeed, let's say you succeed in letting go, then you can let go forever. And your life could be free forever. But if you were to hold on and be like, it has to be perfect, then you give yourself your own jail and you're gonna be in jail forever, even if you're the boss, What kind of life is that? So at some point you have to decide, am I creating my own jail or should I have freedom? And all this hard work, isn't it for freedom anyways? Like, why am I staying in this jail? So that was really big. That was a really big struggle for me, that I had to overcome. That even 80%, it's 100% okay. So the first one that you touched upon was, what are the things that help me with, actually, can you repeat that, the first one?
Yeah, like, what is your belief system around money and around your capacity to succeed? What are your positive beliefs that you formed? What do you think money is? Like, I guess money, let's just focus on money because I think money is a big piece. I feel like a lot of us, like myself speaking, coming from a lot of like lack conversation, there's only so much money in the world. You have to work hard to make money. Rich people are greedy. Like, what were your childhood beliefs? What are your current beliefs around money? Like, how do you see money?
Okay, so those beliefs about money, I don't focus on those beliefs because I focus more on what's my actual experience. Like, of course, there's all these paradigms about all these things, like rich people, greedy, blah, blah, blah. But what's your actual experience? And my actual experience, rich people are fucking generous. They're willing to buy you that extra bottle. They're willing to, they're willing to help you out. They're very, very happy, very generous people. The more wealthy I met, the happier they are. They're just like, no worries. Of course, in their world, they might be suffering, but I don't know. Like, my experience with them is they're very generous to me. They're very kind and nice to me. And people who are limited with resources, they're the ones that are like more like, you know, just more limited in how they think. So just, so, I mean, aside from that example, it's more like, what are my own experiences? And with my own experience, that's how I'm going to treat the world. So luckily for me, and I'm very grateful, my own experience with people in the world is filled with either I'm out having an adventure or I'm out going to a conference where everyone invested in themselves to fly, to pay, to, you know, they're not going to do all that to be mean, you know, they're not going to do all that to have like a horrible time, right? So every single time I've been part of something, doing something, it's always people who really invest in themselves to have a good time. So I'm lucky to be a part of that world. And that world has shaped my beliefs and has made it less and less and less limiting. I'm surrounded by people like in our congruent coach, people who are, you know, selling $20,000 packages, you know, doing all these things. But I'm also surrounding myself by people who are rock climbing, who go and they rock climb for 600 feet in the air on, you know, a random day of the week, and that's normal to them. So it really helps. It really, really helps to realize that the world and people's experiences are so vast and so crazy and all over the place that for you to craft your own experiences, surround yourself with the people who, like, every single day, it's a normal thing for them to be extraordinary. That's what I would highly suggest. And when you do that, then your reality and your beliefs are no longer so limiting. And then you create for yourself a life full of like just limitless things. So
yeah. Okay, I really love that. I just want to recap what you just said because it's so powerful. So you mentioned that you don't care about what people told you about beliefs, rich people. You said, what's my actual experience of it? And because you go to seminars and rock climbing and these high vibration places where people actually invest to be there, you're almost guaranteed to deal with people who have positive, healthy relationship to money. So you don't, because I personally know a lot of rich people who are not so generous and have been actually kind of a schmuck, you know, like I've personally met them. Yeah, I have personally met them. Like they've created like shitty products. Like I have a lot of references in my experience of rich people who are really, really ungenerous, like the opposite of generous, like stingy, right? So I'm talking from my personal experience has been that because I was coming from that world of scarcity, I attracted those people who were rich, but they were just miserable as AF, right? So I'm not having an aha moment myself. It's like who you look and the model makes a huge difference. In your experience, you actually focus, and I also know a lot of rich people who are awesome and amazing, but I haven't focused on those. And my mind has been focusing on the other ones. Be like, I don't want to be like this guy. Like this guy is like miserable. Like he's multi-millionaire, but he's like, he can't even spend $25 on himself feeling good. You know, and I've had a lot of, I'm coming from Iran, I'm Iranian originally. So I don't know if I'm special because I'm coming from that place and there's a lot of limitation there, but I also know you come from China. And a lot of people, right? Are you from China? Or am I
oh, no. I traveled to China. That's where you heard China. But I'm from Vietnam and I have traveled to Vietnam as well. But I don't know a lick of Chinese.
Okay, my bad. So you came from Vietnam, but how about there? Like, were you not seeing references of rich people in a negative sense ever? I'm very curious.
I have seen rich people who are stingy, but then, you know, you can't, what I want to say is for the majority of my own experience.
Yeah, now, because you've been an entrepreneur for 5 years, like you've been 5 years or so, right? You change your references. Now at this vibration, you're only going to attract people who are matching you. But I want you to maybe go back to the time where you didn't have the awareness that you have now. Like, because that's where people are right now. People are surrounded by rich people who are not generous and are stingy and are a piece of assholes, actually. So they're like, they can't, like, I want them to understand that there's other kind of rich people.
Yeah, it's going to be, here it is, and it's not a popular answer, okay? Yeah. You're going to have to isolate yourself from them. You're going to have to cut off relationships that you feel you're obligated to. Oh, I've known them for so many years and I owe them something. You have to be very strong in standing for yourself, because I absolutely believe I'm a sponge. I'm like, you know, if I surround myself with gangsters, I'm going to be a gang member, like for sure. I'm going to be people. I'm absolutely a sponge. It does affect me. I can't say that it doesn't. It affects me. So if you only have this life that you're experiencing now and you're journeying now, why do you want to be affected by the surroundings of people who, you know, are greedy, stingy, thinking small, not generous? You have totally the power to get out of that.
Wow. I love that. I love this advice. It resonates to me because I have some really successful but very stingy friends that are just bad models, like bad models. And part of me felt guilty for letting them go, but I have been kind of letting them go. But this is like the universe, like confirming what I already knew. So those people who are watching this, I hope you guys like apply these principles of really cleansing your friendships and only people who are inspiring you. So this is great. So I want to say, what are some of the moments? Because one of the things we learned through our congruent coaches is that there's in every expansion, there's the peaks and the valleys, right? So there's the dip that we talk about. Like you go through the dips. I want to talk about, like, a lot of people talk about their breakthroughs and success, but I feel like it would be very valuable for us to hear stories around you experiencing dips and moments of really wanting to throw the towel, or those moments where you just felt like there's no point going on. Or if you had those moments, can you talk about that and what helped you to see it differently? What pushed you through those challenging times that really you didn't think how things are going to turn around? So some of the dip experiences that you overcome, can you reflect on those?
Yeah, there were dip experiences. Like one time my landlord, he's like, well, you can't have 2 warehouses anymore. And my second warehouse was filled to the brim with inventory. So I was like, what am I going to do with all this? I can't. He's like, you have 3 months to move it out. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, like that. And I was like, oh my God, you're asking me to vacate this. You know, it was a huge warehouse. It was filled to the brim. And I was like, you're asking me to get rid of this? How am I even? And so it was like a very stressful point in my life. And I was like, okay, either I do that or I get kicked out. Like, what am I, you know, either do that and they can be okay with me being there, or I get kicked out. So flight or flight came in and I just started calling Craig, like posting Craigslist posts, doing all the things to liquidate it, selling it. And then I hired the team to clean it out, and it was all done. But during that period, I was very stressed. It was a very high stress period. Whenever high stress periods come into my life, I want to, and this might not be a popular opinion again, but I want you to be, I want myself to be okay with reaching out for mental help. I pay for a personal trainer for physical help. I pay for a maid to clean for, you know, just, you know, space help. So why, if we pay for a gym membership, why don't we pay for a mental membership, you know? So during that time, I sought therapy, and then they helped me walk through the stresses of my life. And they're certified. They've gone to school for many, many years for it. So, and besides, with that said, don't trust every single therapist. So make sure that you get a good one that actually makes you feel better as you go along and feel like they know what they're talking about as you go along. If they don't make you feel that way, then drop them and find someone else. But I want everyone to listen to this, to be okay. If we search the gym for physical help, be fine with searching for a resource that's certified for mental health, because if I didn't have that, it would be just me in my head, and then me dumping all this emotional stuff onto friends, onto family members. And first of all, they're there to help you, but they don't deserve that. They don't deserve all the emotional baggage of everything that you hold. If you love someone, Is that fair to do that to them? Probably not. It's like asking your friend who is semi-fit, not really that fit, to teach you how to become like, have six-pack abs. It's not
Yeah.
or normal, but that's what we do every single day. We lean on our friends for the emotional support, and we lean on them really hard. And to me, I see it as the equivalent of leaning on a friend who's not really in shape to get you to six-pack abs, when that's not reality. That's not the world. So why do we have all this stigma on having help mentally? So
This is so good. I really like that. I really love what you just brought up. Thank you for that. Okay, I know we have so much time and I want to really get to this. So right now, if you were to tell me some words that come to your mind when you think about money. Money is, and just give me some words. Like, what is it? What is money to you? What is wealth to you?
money is a currency right now at this point in my life. Money is a currency to help me enroll people to change the world. So that's what money is right now. I use money in terms of receiving money to enroll people into their own vision so that they can change the world with software. I give money to enroll employees onto my vision so they can help me change the world.
Wow.
People.
This is so beautiful. I love what you just said. So ultimately the goal is improving the world, and money is used as a tool that you take or receive in order to help others change their priorities and prioritize their business so that they can actually change the world. Otherwise they would prioritize everything else. So you receive what's most valuable to them, their hard-earned money, so that they actually say, no, I'm really going to prioritize my business. And then you give money so that other people support you, enroll your employees to change the world through software.
Yeah, it's all about enrollment. You're enrolling people onto their own vision of what they want to do to change the world. And by the way, software is just a medium. Software is just a method I use. I could do whatever the heck, you know. Software is just one way that I'm doing it. And
so what is your, okay, this is so good. I love what you just said. What is your why? What is your deeper calling for why? You mentioned changing the world. What is the why on that? Like, what do you mean by that? What is important to you?
I think changing the world is the side effect of, you know, me living my best life. It's the side effect of it. It's not the why. The why isn't, I want to change the world. The why is, I want to live my best life. And in order to do this, I see that this is helping out people a lot, and I want to amplify it. So
I love that.
My why is I strongly believe I have this life to experience, and in this life, to live my best life, I need to live it in a way that helps people, but also help myself. I invest in my own self physically, mentally, and the environments that I keep myself in have to be healthy, stable. And so my why is I need to live my best life. For me to live my best life, I need to have the people around me happy, healthy, taken care of, and whoever comes into my world, I need to make sure that they can go out there and pursue their dreams without sacrificing my own. So I need to have that balance. So that's what's my why is. I want to live my best life.
Wow. So I just want to also reflect back what she just said, is that she also really prioritizes her self feeling good and her self-care, her schedule, her best life. Because I talk to a lot of people, and some of the people have been raised with a lot of guilt around putting themselves first. So they feel guilty if they put themselves first. They feel like they should give all their energy to help others, like all these BS beliefs, right? But I just want to say, what I see from you is that you don't have any of that. You say, no, I need to live my best self so that I can actually help others. And you also put yourself first.
Yeah, I think we're raised whenever we're selfish or we think of ourselves, we get like a negative connotation and a negative reaction from the people around us. And I feel like, you know how in the airplane they say put your oxygen mask first before you put it onto like the little kid.
Yeah.
I just live my life with that mentality in mind, because when I don't, I go into breakdown mode, I get sad, and I just shrink. And if I'm shrinking, how the heck am I gonna be present, you know,
Yeah.
for life? So yeah, absolutely take care of yourself.
Awesome. Okay, one last question, and that is, I would love to know, what is your best productivity advice to people who have a lot going on? Because I know you have you're doing a lot of stuff, right? And I'm curious to know how you manage to do all that. Like, you must have some like tools or strategies. Like, what is your number one or top three, whatever you feel in alignment strategy, so that you can actually get all the things you need to get done? What strategy do you use for your weekly planning, or how do you go about getting things achieved in a practical term?
I spend my time building systems, and what that means is I figure out the things that I'm gonna do, and if it's a repeated process, like I'm gonna do it again, I just record myself and make sure that the recording is there for when I need to scale. So I don't think about building the systems when I'm like running around with my head chopped off. I think about it at the very, very beginning. In the very first email that I send, I record myself and I put it somewhere. I put it on an external hard drive and I label it. And so like for recently, things are growing. I have all these recordings on what to do, the things that I do repeatedly, and I just upload everything, link it up. And so they have all this training for them available. So anything that you're gonna do twice, record yourself and upload it. YouTube lets you upload it for free, unlisted, and you just link to it. So that's one productivity tip I would say. Record everything that you do if you're gonna do it twice, and have that be available. So one day you will need, you're gonna be so busy, you're gonna have to hire. Another thing is, another thing that I found is that you don't wait for the money to start building your system. I mean, you don't at all. Actually, let me rephrase that. A lot of people want to do a bunch of things before they look for the money. And what I've seen, the successful people, is that they go and they get that cash flow first, and then they build the systems as they go. So it's kind of counterintuitive to what I just said about building your systems at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Always do that still, but then don't spend all your time building out the system and then say, okay, now I'm ready. Now my business card is here. Now I have all this stuff. Now I have things in place so I can finally do it. The reality is, a lot of people who launch or who are successful, they just do stuff without anything in the middle. And then they use that cash, that influx of cash, to hire the right people to fill out the empty spots. And without cash, you're kind of like empty-handed, struggling in and out, like feeling like horrible. But if you focus on the sales, brings in the cash, you can build the team from there. And I think that productivity tip is probably like the number 2 productivity tip. Don't spend your time building out the system, get the cash, and then build out the system. Which is why our container is so important, because it teaches you how to sell very large packages. And once that $10,000 come in, you're like, okay, you know, you can breathe. You can be like, okay, now I have the cash to hire that person. I'm going to hire that person now. And they're happy because they're not waiting around for your success. They're joining you when you're already successful. So those, I don't have a number 3.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Awesome. Okay, so if somebody wants to reach out to you, what would be the best way for people who hear this interview and they feel inspired to connect with you? How can they do that?
So they can go to kimcdang.com, and dang is spelled like gosh darn it, like dang it, D-A-N-G. They can go to kimcdang.com, or they could connect me on Facebook at Kim Possible Dang. And I am at Kim Possible Dang everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. But Facebook is probably the easiest way. Just send me a message, and me or one of my assistants who act as me will get back to you and point you in the right direction. So if you're someone who is, you know, have been trying out a lot of things and a lot of other things don't work, I know that software works. I know that you don't need to code. You don't need to have an audience. You don't need to, because I've been through that system. I've been through that journey. And I duplicate it again and again. So now I have lots of streams of income coming in from these simple little softwares. I know simple little softwares work. But here's the thing, I know that it works above and well beyond everything else. I have a successful e-commerce company. I have a successful importing company. I import from China, Taiwan. I have a successful local mom and shop, like dismantling business. I have, you know, all these other businesses that require a lot of inventory. I pay for a lot of inventory up front. I pay for staff, I pay for overhead, all these things. When I compare that to software, I'm like, oh my God, my bill for over 8,000 users last month was $32. Do I have to pay for, you know, a warehouse? No. Do I have to pay for inventory upfront? No, none of that. It's such a big comparison. It's such a small thing. And then it's subscribers for life. And I encourage anyone out there, if you tried other things and they haven't worked, if you spend the rest of your life acquiring subscribers who pay you like $10 a month, $17 a month, and you're just acquiring it for software you own and you don't need to even know how to code it, then you are walking towards your own freedom. And that's why I'm so passionate about my program and what I'm doing, because I'm letting people walk towards their path of freedom where they don't have to worry about money for the rest of their life if they only have a few subscribers, and just continue building that. So, yep, kimcdang.com. I know that was long-winded.
Thank you so much. No, I can definitely see your passion, and I also have done a lot of those different business models. So I can understand your passion, because technology is like according to someone famous, technology is like a miracle, right? Mm-hmm. So this is like a miracle. Like when we use software, which is shortening the time for somebody else to not have to do all those things, and they pay you like $10 for every month. It takes very little time. It takes zero time for you to run a software, but you did the thinking in the beginning where you created the software, you did the original thinking. So it's kind of like a miracle. So I like how your passion comes through. Your authenticity also comes through. So thank you. I hope you guys find this interview as amazing as I did. So you guys know what to do. If you want to connect with her, do it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe and like and share your comments, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.